let's take a look at implementing the capability of being able to create a brand new course, right? Maybe perhaps an input field at the top and add a new course. So we'll need an input field and a button to be able to add a brand new one of these. Okay. So let's take a look at that. Let's add maybe at the top of our course list as part of the head, right? Perhaps we can add a new table row that renders a field and a button that allows us to add new courses. All right, so let's do that. Let's add an input field, a new row where we can put that form. Right, so let's put here an input field, input, class name. We'll use here form control. So that adds an input field over here. And perhaps maybe we'll add an additional column where we can add a button that we can add a new course there, right? So we have th, and we'll add another column, and this will be a button, and this will be add, and this will have as a class. There will be btn, btn primary, and yeah, that's good. There's the add button. Yes? So we need to keep track of the new course. Right, so we'll add here maybe a new state variable, call it a new course maybe. And this will be an empty object. It has nothing right now. And as we type, right, we'll store the new course in this new course state variable. Right. So as we type, we can say, on change, we will call maybe this dot new course. This dot new course. No, we'll call it form changed, right? Because it could be just more than just one field. There might be multiple fields, right? And they could all notify this central place that keeps track of the state of all these variables. Yes.
Would you want to do it on change, or would you want to do it on click of the button?
Well, you need to keep track of the state of the object, right? Somewhere. So we'll keep track of the value of that input field as it changes over time. Once we click on the button, yes, we'll take the current state of that title and then use that. Okay. All right. So let's see. So form change doesn't exist. So let's declare it over here. So this will be form changed. Will be a function here that let's make sure that we console log event. So let's pass in the event here. Let me make sure that this is working. So as we type, the event is being passed. Yes? In particular, we want the target in here, so target value, so that as we type, right, we have the value of the course title. All right, excellent. So let's see. What do we want to do with that? We want to store it in the state. So this set state, we want to change the state of the new course. We want to set it to be maybe that the title is equal to the event dot target dot value. Right? Let's see. If we do that, we are presumably setting the event, the title of the new course, right? So we have declared it to be an empty object, right now, and we're adding a title field in that new course. Once we click on the button, the add button, right? We want to, on click, we want to say, this dot create course, okay? And so that we can handle that over here, we can say create course, And here we can see the new course that we just created earlier, right, that we're adding in that state variable. We can log the this.state.new course. We can print it and see what we have there so far, right? So let's see. So course CS 1800, and I say add. Notice that we do have an object in there, right? We have the object stored in that state, and we can just add it to the array, right? So we can append that. All right, so let's do that. Let's append. We'll say this.setState. We can append it to this.state.courses. We can push the this.state.new course. We can push it there, and then change the state. Right? We can say this.setState, setState, what is it? Courses, to be this new this.state.courses. All right, so let's try that. So let's see, we have, is this too big? Let me make this a little smaller. So it's be CS 1800, add, right, and it's being added to the bottom of the array. Okay? But notice that we haven't added it to the server. Right? The server doesn't know anything about this. Okay? And there are several techniques to handle this. Either you update the user interface, yes, but the server doesn't know anything about it. Right? And we can have some cache, local cache, that keeps track of the data model here on the client, and then maybe periodically, right, go out and let the server know, right, and make sure that the states are the same, that the state here on the client matches the state on the server. Right? Or what we could do is that we could, instead of modifying the user interface here, we can first notify the server, hey, there's a new course. Make sure that that state is updated, that it's synchronized, that the server says it's okay, it's in the database. You know, I've verified that I've been able to insert it in the database, and then once we get a notification from the server, then decide, oh, okay, now let's update the user interface. Okay, there's pros and cons with both. Notice that here we have a stale version of the current state of the application. If I refresh, notice that I don't have CS 1800, even though I was fooled into thinking that indeed there was a CS 1800. Right? So there's a different opinions. It depends how critical, right, it is that what you're looking at reflects the current, the latest information that is in a central source of truth. Okay, so for instance, if this is just me, right, mocking around with just my own courses, perhaps it's not a big issue. But if we are working on a shared environment where we're all working on a course, and maybe you're working on some modules and I'm working on some other modules, then it's very, very important that we maintain synchronicity on whatever is stored in the server and what it's displayed across multiple users that are looking at the same data. Yes? All right. So again, it depends on the criticality of your particular application. If it's just you, then maybe you could tolerate some stale version on the user interface, as long as we make a best effort, right, to periodically synchronize both worlds. Yes, right. So what we're going to do is that we're going to go in the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is that we want to make sure that whatever I see in the user interface is always up to date with whatever's on the server. Right? Meaning I do not update the user interface up until I know has been stored in the server. Right? That's the most chattery implementation, because every update that I make on the server, I need to go and tell the server. Every little change that I make on the client, I need to go tell the server. Right? Update and make sure that the database is up to date, and then I come back with the database. That's very chatty. Right? There's a lot of network overhead going back and forth. Right? Ideally, you could relax some of that, right? Where you do some caching on the client, right? where you work a little bit on the client, and then periodically you make one big synchronization call, right? And then you on the server side, you'll need to do some diffing and make sure you have some versioning, right? That to make sure that whatever you send over, it's not overwriting something that is newer. Okay, so the safest thing is to make sure that the client is always up to date with the server, right? That's the pessimistic, but it's the safest thing to do. So let's take a look at how we could do that. So we have a course, the create course. So the create course, notice what we did here. In the create course, we updated the state of the client, but we never told the server. So the server doesn't know anything, right, that this has been done. Right? So at this point, the client is off, is not synchronized with the server. Right? So let's change this a little bit. Instead of updating the client immediately, let's first tell the server. Let's first tell the server that there's a brand new course. All right, let's do that next.